Well, welcome to this particular episode of Contact Center Showcase. We should be calling it CX and BPO Contact Center Showcase. But as my viewers and listeners know, I pop around different parts of the world with people from all parts of our industry. And it's always interesting to drill down a little bit deeper and to find out what's going on the other side of the world. Talk about what's happening here in South Africa. So my guest today, Amit Kumar, and you are sitting in India at the moment. So please give me just
That's
a
right.
high-level introduction to yourself.
Thank you so very much, Rod. And thank you for inviting me to have this kind of conversation today. It's a kind of a privilege to be a part of this conversation. I'm excited and looking forward to a kind of a discussion. And a bit of about myself. So if I talk about my professional experience, so it's been close to 24 years. I've been into a kind of a contact center industry. And out of these 24 years, spent about 20 years managing quality, business excellence, process excellence, digital transformation for different organizations in different geographies.
Hmm.
So that's a kind of a quick brief about myself, Rod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to, I always like to go to the origin story. So, were you born in India? But I know you've spent some time in South Africa. So tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about your journey into contact centers and what brought you to South Africa and when were you out here with us?
All right. So I started my journey with contact center way back in 2002. So when it was, especially from an India standpoint, I
Mm.
joined at the time when the contact center industry was booming in India. Right. So I joined a company which was an international kind of a BPO in the first in this region, which is my hometown, Chandigarh. And from there, yes, I've worked with different organizations. I'm fortunate kind of enough to work for some of the kind of global brands in
Hmm.
this space. And I think it was 2004 when I kind of got an opportunity to get into kind of a quality space. So since 2004, and it goes without saying, it's been a kind of really exciting and learning full of learning kind of a journey with contact centers. And since then, yes, I've been managing quality, business excellence, digital
Mm.
transformation, strategy quality for these kind of global brands in different geographies. And South Africa happened in 2022, so got a kind of first-hand experience working in South Africa. And yes, and after spending 4 years in South Africa, then I came back to my base, which is
Okay.
India. Yeah.
Whereabouts were you based here in South Africa? Come on.
So I was based out of Johannesburg,
In
but
Johannesburg.
yeah,
That's
yes.
my hometown. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
born here, raised here.
Okay.
I've worked in the UK, I've worked in the States, but home is home. Home is home.
Home
Yeah.
is home. No doubt about it.
Let's talk about quality because call center quality has been kind of high on my agenda for many years and going way back
Yeah.
to the early days. I think my first contact center was in the 1980s when it
Mm,
was quality was very rudimentary. Not all call centers had recorders in those days,
yeah.
and those that did kind of random recording, never mind random assessments. And
Yeah.
it's just been an exciting journey to watch it all the way now, where all calls, all interactions are recorded.
Yeah.
And but one of the things which I find fascinating is the way technology has kicked in, and I'm deeply involved with the speech analytics, as you might know,
Yeah.
and how that is now significantly impacting the industry. So I'd be interested in your views on speech analytics tools as part of the quality assurance regime or protocols in a contact center, and the ones that you specifically worked in. Um, captive and BPOs, and there are some differences, but I'd be interested in your views.
Yeah. Sure. So, Rod, so before I jump into probably into quality or CX kind of a space, but before that, probably I would like to kind of take a kind of step back
Hmm.
and probably just want to talk about a little about a kind of a South African kind of a BPO ecosystem. So when we talk about South African BPO industry today, so I believe that we are no longer kind of discussing a cost arbitrage kind of a destination,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So
I think
so we are discussing.
the value proposition is more around value.
Exactly, you got that right. So we what we are discussing today is a value-driven CX ecosystem, right? So over in my experience over the last few years, South Africa has evolved tremendously, right? So differentiator is no longer a kind of a probably your accent neutrality or the labor arbitrage. It's more to do with empathy at scale, right? Because it's kind of a really pretty much kind of a natural inherited when you listen to those conversations between agent and the customer, right?
Hmm.
And now moving to probably from a quality and CX standpoint, Rod, I think I've seen a kind of a clear shift in a QA space from a transactional QA to outcome-based kind of quality frameworks, right? So earlier, the quality meant probably, if I have to put it that way, quality meant compliance, it meant
Hmm.
scorecards, and probably your adherences. But today the quality must influence uh, your customer loyalty, your retention, and of course brand trust. That goes without saying, right?
And
And
if
what
I might
excites
jump in as well,
yeah.
you raise such very good points there. It's not only that, but from a BPO operator's point of view, it's revenue, isn't it? It's hangs on quality.
That's correct. And see, what excites me most, and what I'm excited to see, that how South Africa BPO ecosystem evolves in the next probably in next coming 5 years on a global platform. And to do that, to become probably a call center or the contact center kind of a destination to a CX customer experience hub. I
Hmm.
think that's what it requires, that that you must move away from being a kind of a contact center to a value driven CX kind of a destination. And how it is going to happen? Of course, it is going to happen, as you rightly quoted, through innovation. When you leverage, you know, those technologies. So probably AI is a kind of a buzz in the market these days, right? So how you
Hmm.
utilize AI driven kind of insights in your space, it is going to be very, very interesting to see that, how South Africa performs on those lines and become a kind of a differentiator when it comes to kind of a BPO ecosystem. And and of course, as I say that, what excites me most about the South Africa, it's as I said earlier, that is natural emotional intelligence in customer interactions, right? And when you combine this way with your AI driven insights, when you leverage those kind of real time data analytics, and and probably, if I have to put it that way, then we call it as hyper personalization, right? So
Hmm.
being reactive to become a kind of a proactive uh, ecosystem. So this is going to be a kind of a real differentiator if we have to kind of turn the kind of table around, and if South Africa has to become a kind of a global hub for customer experience.
Well, let's just, if you can take a back step on it and look at South Africa, because I think you touched on the high value, high empathy. Let's just look at that empathy factor. You've had experience, no doubt, all over the world in different sites and different geographies. Um, so let's focus on this South African empathy along with accent. I'd really like your views on that. from an outsider looking into our industry?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say, Rod, that when it comes to this human empathy-led kind of conversation, when it comes to South Africa, it's pretty much inherent. It's pretty natural that you really don't have to train people, right? So when I talk about my early life, when I started my journey with the contact centers, right? So the ecosystem was such when people must come train the humans probably on soft skills, on your accents, and all that kind of stuff. But when
Hmm.
it comes to South Africa doesn't need all of it, right?
That's
It's
interesting. I can.
Yes,
Hmm.
and you being a kind of a veteran in this kind of space, you can also vouch for this when I say that it's pretty much inherent when it comes to South Africa. So no soft skill, you really don't have to train because it's inherent. It's pretty natural, and of course you have a South Africa has kind of a very strong cultural kind of affinity with Western markets,
Hmm.
right?
Correct. Yep.
Hence,
Hmm.
hence, in my view, it's a very preferred kind of a outsourcing or the BPO kind of a market when it comes to UK, US, or probably Australian markets.
No, it's interesting to get your perspectives on it because, I mean, from where we sit, we have passion for the industry and BPO, but that expression we can't sometimes can't see wood for the trees. There are fundamentals about our industry that I know they inherent in our value proposition, but it's really good to hear an outside observation of
Mm.
of these things. It just crossed my mind during while you were speaking there that inherently kind of indicates that South African BPOs can have a much faster time to competence, particularly in starting up new campaigns. What has been your experience in that space? Just picking
No,
up
as I
on
said,
what you were saying earlier.
very, very, very. It's a great question, Rod. In my view, I think when it comes to South Africa, we are very strong kind of operationally, right? And but what needs to improve? That the opportunity lies in moving from metric obsession to a customer outcome kind of obsession. So in my experience, what I've seen, what I've observed while I was there in South Africa, that many centers and operations, they highly index uh, your internal kind of a matrices. It could be HT, it could be your adherence, and so on and so forth. But the real shift is going to happen when you index your customer experience kind of a matrices. It could be uh, as I said, it could be NPS, your sentiments, the voice of the customers, and so on and so forth. I think the if South Africa is going to take that kind of a direction, and I think then it is not going to be a kind of a showstopper for South Africa to become a kind of a global hub and surpass some of the other very mature kind of a destination in this space.
Uh, you're making me think about all sorts of things now because in my day-to-day engagement with many, many different
Mm.
BPOs, we talk about the trend of outcomes-based models, operational models, etc. But it's been my observation that very few of, except for the tier one mega
Yeah.
operators, very few of the mid-tier operators have actually got an idea on how to transition from a productive hour and CSAT and NPS metrics into an outcomes based model. Now, if I was to ask you to put on your consulting hat, how would you engage with a BPO wanting to take that transition, that journey from the historical contracting models to a much more refined AI enhanced um,
Yeah.
outcomes based model?
So it all starts with that capability kind of a building in the organization, right? So While the South Africa has that kind of a skill set, of course, you need those kind of the I must say that you need leaders, somebody who can come, build those kind of capabilities in that space, train people. So my philosophy is very, very simple.
Mm.
Having worked for kind of a different geographies in different contact centers, that you train, uh, educate people, make them capable. And once you do that, only then you can hold people accountable and responsible. Before that, nothing is going to move. So of course,
Okay.
somebody has to take that kind of
Okay.
responsibility to build that kind of a culture and build those kind of capabilities in the
Okay.
organization and
Now I'm
in
going
your
to now I'm going to
organization.
throw you in the deep end. That's operationally. That's down in the contact center, in the training rooms, etc. But how do you handle the boardroom? How do you handle the COO, CEO, the CFO who's looking at this from an ROI and show me the money? Um,
Yeah.
on
No,
this transitional journey from traditional models into something radically new that's going to need strategic directional change and probably technology investments as well. So I'm
100%.
throwing you right in the boardroom now.
No, so what happens? So the way I place myself, Rod, in such kind of a in that kind of an environment, that of course, let's say, just to give you an example, you're working for an organization, your top line looks pretty impressive, right? Everybody is celebrating. All right, you got some global brands, you got massive headcount, and so on and so forth. But when you go look deeper, right, your bottom line is suffering. There are kind of a massive revenue leakages because you
Mhm.
have operational inefficiencies, right? And probably in a contact center, of course, when you work for a client, and when you have to drive those kind of operational or probably your qualitative kind of matrices, every metric come with certain targets, with of course there are kind of something called reward and penalties as well, right?
Mhm.
So what happens if you do not achieve those targets? There's a kind of a monetary impact, right, in terms of kind of penalty, because you're not meeting your quality target, you're not meeting your CSAT target, and so on and so forth. That means, so all I'm saying that the way I place myself strategically into that kind of space, that to help improve the bottom line. So top line is all right, everybody's celebrating, is good. But as a leader, you have to identify that where are the kind of revenue leakages. How would you help organization to build those kind of operational
Mhm.
efficiencies and stop that kind of leakages into the kind of system, right? And of course, at the end of the day, you have to look for kind of opportunities to optimize. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that so when you bring in kind of a technology, that it is going to replace kind of humans. Bring in technology, optimize resources. I'm not saying reduce your human resources. All I'm saying that there has to be kind of optimization. You can utilize your resources in a right fashion. Not necessarily, if somebody is a kind of a QA today, they can't do any other job. Probably they're good at probably at business insights. Rather than asking them to do a kind of QA, utilize them to do a kind of be a kind of a
Mhm.
role. So that's how a leader or the quality leader or a CX leader must place themselves in that, as you said, in the boardroom.
Okay. Now, you touched on something here, which is, I think, particularly in
Mm.
South Africa, where we have, as you well know, massive unemployment, particularly youth unemployment. And so the balancing act between driving operational efficiency, bottom line, to stakeholders, delivering a bottom line, and balancing it with employment. And
Thank
now
you.
we have the AI beast coming right down the middle and saying
Yeah.
the vendor saying we'll reduce headcount, the operator saying we have a social responsibility. So, what is your view on that social dichotomy?
Yeah. So I think it's a very valid question because nowadays everybody is asking that, when it comes to AI, is it a threat or is it a kind of a enabler? In my view, Rod, that AI should eliminate inefficiencies, not empathy, right? So South Africa's competitive advantages is a human connection, right? So AI should enhance that kind of a agent intelligence, provide kind of predictive kind of context, and enable better decision making. But having said that, but the human layer must remain central. So that's a bottom line.
Mm. No, in the highly competitive global market now for BPO services, we're starting to see buyers, BPO buyers, putting a lot of pressure on operators to automate, use AI, reduce process time, in other words, reduce headcount. So once again, an international buyer is looking for those kind of cost savings. And how do you address that reality?
So I think in my perspective, uh, Rod, so it's not about kind of a reducing, as I said, it's totally an optimization. Probably if you're reducing a kind of a head count, all I'm saying that it's more to do with the capability kind of a building inside your kind of an ecosystem. So we have to do a kind of an introspection whether our people are ready to take that kind of a challenge, learn something of or leverage these such technologies like
Hmm.
AI, RPAs, automations, and so on and so forth. So all I'm saying that you of course to run those kind of automations, to deploy AI, you need humans, right? So all I'm saying, so probably you're gonna pull them off from operations, but to implement AI strategically in your kind of organization, you need humans. So all I'm saying that you train kind of a your agent level population for the future, so that when the AI comes, they become a kind of an input when they start
Mm.
working on those kind
So,
of AI kind of related technologies. They develop those kind of models and run with those kind of automations, right?
yeah.
So you're not letting go your people. Is that so? In an organization must think from a perspective that let us train kind of our people and
Mm.
make them kind of future ready.
Yeah, I think we have come from the same place on that one. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
On the one hand, yeah, but if one gazes into the crystal ball, and I had this debate a few days ago, where one school of thought is saying, with the rate of technology and the development of AI, etc., that within, I don't know, 5 years, 75, 80% of call center jobs will go by the wayside. What is your view on that? I'd be interested from a perspective of an international.
And I don't think so. Well, probably in so it's just a kind of a prediction that probably 75 or 80% of the
Yeah.
work probably will be done by the automation or through AI. But I say that you really AI cannot replace, that empathy-led kind of a customer interaction. That kind of you still need kind of a human resources, and of course, and South when it comes to South Africa, what I've observed, what I've seen that its strength kind of lies in managing those kind of a very complex kind of environments, right? So probably AI can automate a lot of your probably your L1 L1 level, which
Mhm.
is kind of first level of customer interaction. But when it comes to solving your complex problems, you still need humans, right? AI
Look,
won't be able to do
this
it.
this is what you're saying is music to my ears because I'm very
Yeah.
much in the camp of AI will enhance and enable a lot more functionality in contact centers, but we need the human.
Yeah.
Also been tracking, and I'd be interested to get your views on it. I've been tracking the voice channel for various reasons. Have vested interest in the voice channel. And one school of thought saying it's declining rapidly and digital channels are overtaking it. And yet, my view, and I'm interested in see whether you concur or not, is that as the world becomes stressed, and let's face it, the world is stressed
Yeah.
economically, politically, etc.
Mm.
As the world becomes stressed, previously mundane issues in the customer experience all of a sudden become stressful, urgent, and emotional.
Mm.
Whereas 5 years ago, we weren't that much or not as stressed as we are today. So that's my
Yeah.
personal observation. But have you seen anything like that in other geographies where voice traffic is certainly not giving way to digital, or is it?
Uh, Not exactly. Voice still remains kind of a pretty much intact, while there is kind of a substantial kind of a reduction. But voice channel dominates your kind of a digital channels, be it your kind of WhatsApp or any other kind of a
Mm,
method of probably chats and emails. Because at the end of the day, from if you look at it from a human psychology, right, till the time you really don't get an assurance from a human voice,
mm.
you'll not get convinced. And
Yeah,
that's my personal opinion
yeah,
as well. So probably today, if I call up any call center, probably related to my cell phone or probably bank, till the time I don't get to hear that kind of a human assurance that don't worry, your problem
yeah,
will be sorted. I'm not going to leave it
yeah.
there. I'm not dependent on digital channel. It doesn't give me that kind of a comfort, right?
Yeah, is it a generational thing? I mean, I'm quite a long way ahead of you, but the Y gen or Z gen, I've lost track of the gens now, coming up the line, are they still susceptible to the same psychological drivers of human voice interaction, or are they captivated in the two thumb syndrome?
No, I don't think so. I think, everybody still want to hear beat, the probably your older generation, your Gen Zs,
Mm,
Even I have a son, he's a grown-up kid, right? So while he's kind of pretty much into all the kind of a digital channel, whenever he's chatting, probably he'll go on WhatsApp if he's feeling stuck, probably with respect to his video games and so on and so forth. But till the time he doesn't get a kind of assurance from a human itself,
mm.
he's not convinced. So all I'm saying, sir, no
Okay.
difference, be it your older kind of generation or your Gen Zs. No, I don't think so that
Okay.
there's a kind of a
Well, that's encouraging too. So,
pretty
yeah.
encouraging. Yeah.
And then yeah, we jumped out of, but I'd just like us to round off now with, where the technology is going, and particularly as I was introducing the concept of voice and speech, is
Yeah.
where that speech analytics and real-time agent assistance, etc. Where do you see that in a practical sense? I mean, never mind this longer term kind of theoretical, the
Yeah.
day-to-day deployment in contact centers of these technologies now.
No,
Wearing your specialist QA hat.
so if you ask me, so let me rephrase your question, Rod,
Mm,
then,
please
if
do.
the quality or the CX is still relevant in AI kind of an era.
Mm,
Yeah. So, in my view, quality and CX is more relevant than ever. Yeah. But it must kind of evolve. It goes without saying that it must evolve. If our QA remains like a checklist kind of function, it
mm,
is going to become kind of obsolete. Yeah. So, however, if it kind of transforms into customer outcome based quality assurance, So, well, what I meant to say is when you link, your interactions to churn, your NPS and retention, and so on and so forth, then it becomes more meaningful and more strategic, right? AI can monitor conversations, but human judgment defines, experience. So
Uh, okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, then we're certainly, focusing the same way there. Um, as you're sitting in India, you kind of indicated that you would like to come back to South Africa. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
other than the industry, what is it about South Africa that draws you? Is that
So see, in my view, and with my experience, I got a first-hand experience working in South Africa, and South Africa as kind of a BPO industry has always had something unique. I must say that, a lot of resilience, adaptability, and empathy that goes without saying, right? So having worked across kind of a multiple kind of a geographies, I genuinely believe that South Africa has this kind of a capability to become a kind of a next global CX kind of a intelligence kind of a hub, not just a kind of a delivery kind of a market. So wherever I operate kind of globally, Rod, I remain kind of a deeply connected to the evolution of South Africa kind of a BPO ecosystem. And if there's kind of an opportunity for me to kind of contribute to its kind of a next phase of transformation, whether through a collaboration, innovation, or capability building, I think it is going to be very, very, very meaningful. So yeah.
well,
So
certainly. Well, I've been really enthralled by this discussion now, and what we'll do is we'll edit this video, put it up on the channel, and I'll put your contact details down below, and I'll certainly be networking with my peers, not only in South Africa. In fact, next week I'll be in Ethiopia with um, several hundred of the world's analysts
yes,
and operators, etc. Very exciting.
elevate Africa,
Elevate
elevate.
African time with me today, Amit, and certainly some fascinating perspectives and really some we share similar views and some we might have some differences on, but
Sure.
looking forward to picking up again on and the further discussions going forward. So, any last words from your side?
No, thank you so very much. As I said, thank you for this opportunity. It's a absolutely an honor and privilege to be a part of this conversation today. And on a as a closing note, I think the future of South Africa kind of BPO is extremely promising, and I'm excited to see that how it kind of continues to kind of evolve on the global stage. So I'm sure the next couple of years is going to be very, very, very exciting and critical for South Africa kind of
Okay.
BPO ecosystem. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your support and thank you for sharing it on our CX Contact Center showcase.